Yo, what's up, everybody? It's yet another week in Parliament. It's been quite a busy number of weeks, and this weekend, more specifically, I want us to have a conversation about what took place in the last 2 weeks. Just to recall some of the facts, General Mkhwanazi held a press briefing upon which he laid out a number of allegations speaking to the fact that there were some issues with the Minister of Police. There were a number of issues with the judiciary, the correctional services, and that ultimately the means of justice, or ultimately there were many others who were operating in a manner that defeats the ends of justice. Meaning that South Africans know what they are now feeling, or they knew that their feelings were not misplaced. And this is the feelings. The fact of the matter is that 64 people are being murdered every single day in our country. It is actually difficult when you think about the whole crime situation, that for many people, they feel like there's no recourse against crime. They go to a police station, and often when you arrive at the police station, there is no detective. Or as I experienced when I got robbed in a restaurant in Cape Town, that after that you realize that by the time you get to the police and the systems that go with it, you have no real recourse. Some people who are privileged, I understand that, will talk about the only reason you go to a police station is for insurance purposes. Other people will tell you straight up that, in fact, as I can recall, one of my dear friends was a taxi driver, was gunned down, and still today, the police have not even come to give any more further conclusive evidence as to where the thing is going. But I think for me, what hurt me the most about what General Mkhwanazi said is that one of my dear colleagues, who was a member of parliament and a member of the IFP, as it were, was then killed in Gauteng. And there was a fund set up in Gauteng to fight against political killings. The disbandment of it has meant his life is now gone, and there can be no thorough investigation. So what General Mkhwanazi said confirmed what we all feared, but also what it did say is that ultimately, in a country riddled with crime, immediate action was needed. So there are a couple of things that I find deeply concerning about what the president's actions were. I didn't feel that the actions of the president were concomitant to the nature of the crime that General Mkhwanazi raises. The first thing is, I don't believe Minister Mchunu should have been placed on special leave. I certainly think that Minister Mchunu should have been dismissed from cabinet. This is not an abnormal thing. He becomes an ordinary member of parliament. But what you and I can't afford is to be, through our taxes, financing the payment of one minister on special leave and another who is acting. The second, which is the question about an acting police commissioner or police minister. Police work like an army. In fact, that was one of the recommendations that came from the Marikana Commission, is to say demilitarize the police, stop making it this military place. But be that as it may, that is what we have. So when a general who's at the top, as the Minister of Police could be, and the rest of the perceived army, the army of policemen and women, feel like their general is only acting, is on his way out, what authority does that person have? What leadership ability do they have? That is why I would have gone strongly for a suggestion that says, if you are going to apply the section of the Constitution that allows you to appoint someone outside of the list of parliamentarians, then I would have certainly appointed someone from within the police. Someone who's been through the wars of robberies and murder and many other places. Someone who's served as a commander in the army, and let them come through. You might argue, well, some of these are implicated. Actually, there are some really good police people who will make excellent leaders for the police. If you are going to apply the same law, appoint them to be the Minister of Police. I want to live in a country where one day we can vote for the Commissioner of Police, so that when we do that, we can directly hold the person accountable for crime and make sure that they do their best job. Because here's the lesson that we know, is that when you apply the section of the Constitution, the person who's coming in is not politically mad into debates about they serve the party or not. They're coming in to do a job, and they compete and they show their way. Now, let me wrap this up by asking the question, why do I think a commission of inquiry, on the other hand, could be another expenditure that leads politicians to walk freely? Firstly, I think we need an SIU investigation. Why the SIU? The SIU is the Special Investigation Unit. It's independent from the police. It operates under prescribed laws, which means it accounts to a portfolio committee of parliament, which means the investigation that the Speaker of Parliament has already put in place in terms of a committee, the three committees meeting together, police, justice, and another one, that they can be able to run an investigation, can have a report that comes from the SIU to be able to demonstrate what the challenges are. The SIU also has prosecutorial powers, which means those who are criminally implicated can end up behind bars. So that whatever General Mkhwanazi's allegations are, we can focus on the criminal aspects of it and arrest the crooks from within the police. They move ahead of IPID and any other institutions that are within the police set up to do this kind of work. They'll be able to investigate it fully. And more crucially, it means that we don't have to wait for another year with interim reports between 30, 60, 90 days. We can actually get to the nub of the issue. And I think that should have been the action the president takes. Because unlike in the Zondo Commission, the moment you create the impression that no prosecutions can happen until the report is then put forward, it gives opportunity who are implicated now to cover their tracks, to move on, and it makes it harder and harder for justice to be attained because it is effectively delayed. Now others might say, why all of this immediate action? Because lives are being lost. And more seriously, as many of people have said, no, the president can't find anyone guilty. But the president has the duty to protect the ethics of the state, to tell the people of South Africa that he is serious about raising the values that citizens need. Now, I think that in a country that largely has Christians living in it and largely has got people of faith living in it, we demand better of our leaders. We want leaders who serve the people. We want leaders who recognize the fact that they have to operate in an ethical manner. And when we fail, the Special Investigation Unit must come and do the work that it must do. So fellow South Africans, I certainly think that the SIU investigation is the only way forward. We will get to the bottom of arresting the crooks, and I'm hoping that work can be done sooner rather than later. And the president, the clock is ticking. What we don't need is another expensive commission of inquiry. What we desperately need is an SIU investigation that gets to the bottom of this issue. I hope to see you next week. Much love.